Hi, and welcome to the He's Playing Warhammer Demon Detachment review. Today, we're going to be analysing and ranking Scintillating Legion, which is the Tzeentch one. This is the one that I've been most looking forward to talking about with you guys, because it's the god that I have the most of. I've played a couple of games with Scintillating Legion, and I think there's a lot to unravel, so let's get straight into it. Oh, and if you haven't checked out the first video in this series, which was looking at Demonic Incursion, make sure you do that, because I explain a bit about who I am and what I'm doing. But yeah, let's go. I'll just start by explaining the format for these videos. For each detachment, I'm going to be giving it a score out of 40, or a pointage, points, I don't really know what the word is, out of 40. And that's going to be a combination from 10 from the detachment rule, 12 for the stratagems, that's 2 per strat. Same for the enhancements, 2 per enhancement, for a total of 8. And then 10 points at the end for overall synergy, how units combine within the detachment to make you a competitive army list. Because that's what these videos are all about, how to get the most out of these detachments for competitive play. What this will do is it will give us a final ranking at the end, where I'll do a final video comparing each of these detachments and their points to each other, to seeing what is best geared up for play, really. So let's get stuck in. The detachment rule for Scintillating Legion is Fates in Flux. I love this detachment rule. It's very complicated, and I actually think it might be the longest in the game. So I'll just try to explain it briefly here. You basically start the game with 3 Flux tokens. These Flux tokens can be spent on a bunch of different things, as well as on strats. When you spend one, your opponent gains one, and vice versa. When they spend one, you gain one. But your opponent doesn't have, can't spend them on as many as you can. This is a really cool detachment rule and very Tzeentchian, where in order to get these buffs, these rerolls, you have to basically buff your opponent. But while it's very Tzeentchian, it doesn't mean it's that good. So, rerolls are good, and rerolls are good in any army. Probably in Tzeentch most effective on invulnerable saves. You could be having a lot of big greater demons with 4-up in buns where, spending a flux token on a reroll could save you a whole lot of wounds. Damage is also powerful, but only really on soul grinders, because that's, apart from the order change with D3, that's the only really time you're going to want to, you'll gain a lot from rerolling the damage. And soul grinders are a bit iffy. I never play with them because I'm in the UK and the train really doesn't work with them. But, if you have got access to soul grinders and saw the whole thing, if you play it on a base or not, it could be good. But unfortunately, the fact that you give these points to your opponents really limits its competitive usage. As long as your opponent knows what they're doing and how to spend them to get the most out of them, which is normally on saves or invuln saves, they're going to get nearly as much out of it as you do. And I know you technically get more than they do because, I didn't mention it you also gain them at the start of your opponent's turn. Sorry, at the start of your command phase, you gain them. I can't think today. But you technically will end up, over the course of the game, having more than your opponent does. You'll probably spend them, and then they gain them. So you end up having an equal amount across the game anyway. And so a detachment rule that buffs both you and your opponent just isn't that great. I've had a couple of games with this detachment, and both times my opponent has benefited more than me from the detachment rule, re-rolling key and bun saves that just mean my army doesn't do that much damage. So overall, I've given it a score of 4 out of 10 GOTS, which is how I'm ranking it. I really like the detachment rule in terms of fluffiness and lore, but in competitive play, I don't think it's that powerful. I might be wrong, it's just new, but I think these flux tokens are better used. I don't really know where I'm going with that point, but I think the flux tokens, it's a hard mechanic, and you're going to have to master it, and when you give your opponent flux tokens, and I guess who you're playing if you give them that many, that's something that you really have to perfect if you're going to play this detachment well. Let's move on to the enhancements, because I think this is where this detachment really shines. We've got 4, as in all of them, pretty much, apart from, Imperial Knights. I think they have 5, I don't know why. Inescapable Eye is the first one, 10 points. and this allows you to retain 1 additional flux token in the command phase. This is good. So in your command phase, you gain 2 flux tokens instead of gaining 1. Now, originally I had this as 2 points out of 2, but thinking about it, as I said earlier, even though you're gaining more, right, and that could allow you to have 13, I guess, if you go second over the course of the game, your opponent is also going to benefit from that, because as you reroll those saves, they're going to have more dice because of this, or more, they're going to have more dice to reroll as you have more, if you see what I'm saying. So, I've given this a 1 out of 2. I think it's alright, but I don't think it's what makes this detachment, as the detachment rule that this is buffing just isn't that great. Next, though, is one of the best things about this detachment, and it is the enhancement Infernal Puppeteer. I love this. I think it's great. This is a 10-point enhancement that you will put basically on a Lord of Change. I think it might be the only Tzeentch monster as well. I know the Neverblade, which I'll go into in a minute, is only Tzeentch monster. But this basically means you can shoot from another Tzeentch unit. This is very strong. So you pick a Tzeentch unit within 9 inches of the bearer. It doesn't have to be visible. And you can basically shoot from any model in that unit. So if you've got a strung out unit of blue or pink horrors, maybe screamers as well, you can choose that unit if it's within 9, and then pick a model in that unit and shoot from it, determining visibility and line of sight from it. This is amazing. It's an instant 2 because it basically gives you Lord of Change, or I think it is only Lord of Change. You'll put this on realistically in direct fire, but on 2s because you're a Lord of Change. I expect this will get nerfed pretty soon. Probably. I mean, it should do, but it's probably the only thing holding the detachment up, if I'm honest. So, along with some other things, I will get into that. Maybe it's not the only thing. But, yeah, this is very strong. Next up is the Neverblade. This is a 20-point enhancement that goes on a Tzeentch monster, and it gives add 2 strength, add 1 attack, add 1 AP, and add 1 to hit. On base level, I looked at this and I was like, well, excuse me. You could put this on a Lord of Change, swapping out the staff for the sword, and, make it hit a bit harder in combat, but that's not what they're designed to do, and they wouldn't hit that hard. But then I was like, oh, Demon Princes. Demon Princes can benefit from this. And this, I really like this on a Demon Prince. Add 2 strength, add 1 attack, add 1 AP, and add 1 to hit. Even though they already hit on 2s, it's good against any potential minuses. And it's a good enhancement to put on them. Now, while Demon Princes aren't that brilliant, I think it pushes them to a level where they should be considered for competitive play. And this attachment on its own is very good. Sorry, this enhancement on its own is very good. That's good. I've given it 2. Next up is the Improbable Shield. I really love the names of these. This is a 30-point enhancement, so definitely pricey. But this gives you a 6-up, a 6-inch aura of a 4-up Thunder Pain against Psychic and mortal wounds. I actually think this is quite strong, especially near horrors. So, let's say you put this on a Flux Master, leading some horrors. This is basically going to mean that, ignoring the 4-up Thunder Pain against Psychic, I think that will really come up. I think it's the Mortals part that you really focus on here, because Mortal Wounds are one of the best way to take out Pink Horrors. And I really like Pink Horrors. I think they're a great unit with the Flux Master. So basically negating that ability for your opponent just to wipe out a load with a grenade or a tank shock or whatever, devastating wounds as well. It's an expensive enhancement, but if you can get a lot of your army within that 6-inch aura, it can just provide a lot of extra durability, which Tzeentch doesn't really have. So I've given this a 1 out of 2. It's good, but being 30 points is pricey. In total, that is 6 out of 8 grots. The Infernal Puppeteer, as I said, is best by far, and this will be also included in every list. If you're not taking this enhancement, what are you doing? Just take it. It's very good. Unless you don't own a Lord of Change, in which you should buy one. Next up, I've gone fast. I'll get to that one in a minute. Next is the strats. So this is going to be out of 12. The first one is Impossible Eclipse, another great name. This is basically, I think this is in your command phase. You choose No Man's Land. So you choose either No Man's Land or your opponent's deployment zone, and that area gains shadows for the phase. Now, I've given it 1, as you can see. I think it's okay, but it's kind of just scraped to 1. Like, there's nothing in this detachment which focuses on shadows. Shadows of Chaos, and the only thing that it really causes is it makes your opponent's battle shock tests worse and your battle shock tests better. Um, and so being able to use it in the command phase is good, but it's not that crazy. So you might see it occasionally, but not very often. Next up is Fateborn Nightmares. So this is the strat that every demon detachment has got. It's a move through walls for Tzeentch units. Going to be used on your Burning Chariots if you're bringing those, on your Lords of Changes, on your Demon Princes. And move through walls is strong, and this is probably a 2 out of 2 in every other detachment but the Tzeentch one. Because Tzeentch has naturally got a lot of infantry that can go straight through walls anyway. I'm thinking Screamers, Flamers, Pink Horrors. And the things that can go through walls, apart from Demon Princes, but also Demon Princes, don't benefit from it massively. Lord of Change aren't going to be moving through walls to charge units. Instead, they're just going to be flying around the board. You might fly over a ruin to get line of sight or something, but if you've got that enhancement, maybe you won't even need to do that. It's alright on Demon Princes. So I've just given it 1 out of 2. Move through walls is strong, but it's not as strong as some of the other strats that are like it in the game, which allow you to go through walls and models. So next up is a 2 CP strat. This is Pyrogenesis, another great name. In the shooting or fight phase, you can pick a Tzeentch unit. That unit gets, I think it's add 2 strength, and then you can spend flux tokens on this, and then you can basically turn it into add 3 strength, add 1 AP. Don't quote me on that, I think it's something like that, but you'll basically be doing this version at every time, where you spend a flux token. This is an example of one where you spend it, and you get add 3 strength, add 1 AP. This is good. I've given it 1 grot though, because being 2 CP, it's really pricey. You're only going to see this strat once or twice over the course of a game, barely anymore. And add 3 strength, add 1 AP, definitely could come in handy when you're shooting some flamers or you're charging with some screamers that really could get add 1. Probably you want add 2 to wound with this, and then add 1 AP. It'll be worth it, but 2 CP is just a bit on the pricey side for this. So there it gets 1. Fickle Fire is the next one, where you pick a Tzeentch unit, and for the purposes of shooting at ranged weapons, enemy units aren't considered to be within an inch of it for determining targets. So this basically means that, let's say you got a unit of Pink Horrors that are in combat with some Khorne Berserkers, you can Fickle Fire your Tzeentch unit, and this allows units like Lords of Changes or Flamers to shoot that unit as if it wasn't in combat. This is good. Because that ability is strong. It's worth noting that on a 5-up, when you kill a model, you take a mortal wound, which is, that's bad for units like Pink Horrors, but that's another reason to include that enhancement for the 4-up for pain against mortals. That's like a nice little synergy there. It's not game breaking, but this is quite good anti-melee play, which you might see is actually quite common in this detachment. Next, we've got Flickering Reality. This is in combat for your opponent. So, I don't know, let's say you're getting charged by Khorne Berserkers again, and they keep on coming up. You roll a dice, or re-roll it if you don't like it, if it's a 1 or a 2, really, for a flux token. And then enemy units, when they roll that dice, roll to hit, let's say you roll a 3, when they roll a 3, 3 are considered a miss. So, in some situations, it's going to be mathematically the same as -1 to hit. Sometimes it's going to be better though, so this also counts for lethal and sustained, which is where this stratagem really pops off. If your opponent's got 5-up sustained or lethals or both, that means if you roll a 5 or a 6 on this roll, that dice isn't considered a successful hit for your opponent. Now, I thought this was really strong to begin with, and I still think it is strong, but the fact that you could just roll a 1 or a 2 into a 1 or a 2, which will happen like 1 in 8 times, and then this stratagem does nothing, is really, bad. If this strat was just a -1 to hit, that'd be probably 2 points, but I've just given it 1 here because, that unreliability can be quite impactful, especially in, competitive games. Finally, I've left the best strat till last. I'm going to tell you it's going to be 2. This is the best strat I mean, well, I think it's one of the best ones in the game, if I'm honest. Maybe I'm being a bit biased, but this is Delirium Unmade. You pick 1 or 2 units, depending on if you spend a Flux token or not. And this is just a picky uppy, droppy downy. So you pick those units up at the end of your opponent's turn. I think it's combat at the end of your opponent's fight phase. They come off the board. And unlike other ones, you don't have to come in next turn. Normally you will, but you don't have to. But the best part about this strat is that this can happen even when in combat. To my knowledge, this is the only strat that allows you to pick up units in combat in the game. And this is really strong. While some units like Flamers, maybe Screamers, are fine staying in combat depending on what you're in combat with, because Flamers can fall back and shoot, and Screamers, they like being in combat. Units like Lords of Changes, Pink Horrors, other chaffy units really like this because it just gives you so much maneuverability, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. They can't wrap you up unless they kill you, which great. I mean, if they kill you, they kill you, but there's not much they can do to stop this hypermobility. And again, it's a bit more anti-melee play. So just pick you up, you drop you down. He is strong in general. This is very, very strong. So that gets 2 points. Overall, if I've done my maths right, that is 7 out of 12 grots, which is alright. There are some very good strats in here. Delirium Unmade. I like the other ones a bit, some more than others, like Impossible Eclipse. But overall, I think it's a decent suite of strats. Let's move on to overall synergy now. So, I mean, it says it there, so I might as well reveal it to you guys. This is... Oh, there we go. 6 out of 10 grots. I should have animated that one. Oh, well. Let's talk about it, though. So, I think this detachment, it's obviously pushing you down the Tzeentch route. And I mean, I haven't mentioned it already, but you should know that all of the strats and enhancements can only be used on Tzeentch units, as well as the rerolls. But pushing you down this Tzeentch way will give you synergy in itself. I'm thinking about stacking Lords of Changes, add 1 Strength Aura, and this actually makes them good in shooting again. Without the Everstave, which the Everstave was the enhancement for Tzeentch model in Demonic Incursion. You put it on Lord of Change, it gave you add 6 strength, add 2 strength. Sorry, add 6 range, add 2 strength, which was very good. This basically can get you towards that again if you've got 3 Lords of Changes, which is a big commitment, but 3 Lords of Changes at strength 12, especially with the enhancement, Infernal Puppeteer, can actually make them very powerful in shooting. So that's something you can do. Other synergies include Burning Chariots that give your one of your opponent's units basically means they can't benefit from cover. So essentially add 1 AP on some of your Tzeentch shooting, which is good because Tzeentch can definitely suffer from a lack of AP across the whole board. A synergy that I've really liked in this is using Lone Ops, and Tzeentch have got some quite good Lone Ops in the Blue Scribes and the Changeling, and specifically using them as targets for Infernal Puppeteer, because it allows your Infernal Puppeteer, the Lord of Change, to shoot from angles where, your opponent wouldn't think of, which is great. The Infernal does that. Infernal Puppeteer does that anyway, but it really means that your opponent can't retaliate towards that point as well. A Lone Op in the corner, drawing line of sight and visibility, is much harder to deal with than, say, a sort of Pink Horrors that are over there, because of that no shoot me within 12 inches. And you can use it on the side for mission play as well. I really like that. Being a Tzeentch detachment really focuses on shooting, so including a lot of that in your lists with Flames and Lord of Changes can be quite powerful. And the hypermobility, along with things like Fickle Fire, allowing you to shoot your opponent's units in combat, allows you, and as well as Delirium Unmade, allows you to get out of some pretty sticky situations. So that can be really strong. What else we've got here? We've got the inclusion of a Demon Prince is being encouraged. I mentioned that earlier. I really like the one with I like the one on foot more than the one with wings, just because you can stack -1 to hit with Fluxmaster's ability for Pink Horrors and makes them really durable. Or really, they're not really durable, are they? I guess they're, what's the best word? Tricksy, or yeah, I guess I can't think of a better word right now. Some tricksy Pink Horrors with stealth and -1 to hit from the Fluxmasters, which into certain armies like Guard, Necrons, Awakened really rely on this add 1 to hit. Having -1 to hit and negating out their add 1 to hit can be really strong. Because obviously -2 to hit. And that can provide you a bit of a durable castle, which along with Lord's Changes all stacked together, as well as the 4-up Fun Pain against Psychic Immortals, can allow you to castle and can definitely provide you some good synergy. Being only Tzeentch units definitely means that you lack some units like Nurglings. I mean, you can still include them. Don't get me wrong, I think including units like Nurglings, probably Plague Bearers as well, is powerful, but it means none of your abilities and strats or whatever works on them. So, as I said, it pushes you down a very specific route. Finally, I'll say it here again, damage is really limited in this detachment. And although, like, you might say, hey, these Lords of Changes, especially shooting from all these silly angles, can be really powerful, and, you know, Lord of Changes previously have done lots of damage. I found that's mainly with the Everstave, and especially that add 1 AP strat from Demonic Incursion. Without that, they really suffer. And unless you're going down a triple Lord of Change build, which I don't think is the way to go, you're going to struggle with general strength and AP. Flame is low AP, Scream is a okay AP, and you can use the 2CP strat to better that, but how many times are you going to do that across the game? Unfortunately, lots of tricks to play, not much damage, and then as your opponent can reroll saves, that limits it too. I've had bad experience with that. So, I mean, I've just done a bit of an overall there, but I'll go over it again. This Tricksy detachment focuses on 4+ invuln saves, which, when combined with rerolls, can push durability, making castles of Lords of Changes, Pink Horrors, really quite a lot. Very durable. But it's the same for your opponent, as your opponent can reroll the same, just the same as you can, meaning you really struggle to kill much. I played into 3 Norn Emissaries recently, and I did end up killing 2 of them actually, but over 5 turns with a lot of my army directed at them, and that just wasn't worth it, because then it's not that durable once you spread out. And I was playing a slightly different list. I just couldn't keep up with the durability of them. But that's not to say this detachment isn't good. Delirium Unmade and the Infernal Puppeteer basically build this detachment from the ground up. And with specific units benefiting from these, I think you can focus on probably a scoring focused, not a killing focused, because you're not going to be killing much. A scoring focused board control state where you can push up with your castles of Lords of Changes and Flamers and Screamers, Pink Horrors, whatever you have, and then try and deal with your opponent that way. Overall, with the strats, the enhancements, and the overview at the end, this has got 23 out of 40 grots. It's a good score, don't get me wrong, not as high as Demonic Incursion, but I'm interested to see how this scores compared to the Blood Legion or the Excess Legion, the other ones that we're going to be doing next. I've got a quick example list to run through with you guys. This is just something that I made quickly in New Recruits. I love New Recruits, it's very good. You should try it out. To bring to a 2,000 point competitive game. Starting off with the Blue Scribes, he's there in order to make sure the Lord of Change benefits the most from Infernal Puppeteer, drawing these line of sights from angles that your opponent wouldn't expect and then not being able to retaliate. Demon Prince with Wings. I know I just said I prefer the one on foot, but I couldn't get it into this list. The Demon Prince of Wings is good, and specifically with the Neverblade. Voice crack. He can benefit from that 2CP strat as well. I've got the name of it, to make him very, very killy. But then also once per game he can get add 3 attacks, and he always gets sustained or lethal or precision. So for 200 points, I think he's quite good. Got an Exalted Flamer to go with a unit of 6 Flamers, provide them with a very good Overwatch. 2 Flux Masters to go into units Pink Horrors. Flux Masters and Pink Horrors I think are necessary in this. I really like them as a unit anyway, and I was bringing them into Demonic Incursion. I definitely, in my recent games, I suffered from no 6-inch Deep Strike, because I really like doing that from Lords of Changes, and then basically wrapping key opponent units up, because they're so durable. I still think they're good though, so consider taking them, making them durable. One Lord of Change with Inescapable Eye. I've already gone over why he's great. Another one, basically just to stand around as a bit of a buffing piece for other Lord of Change, because otherwise that first Lord of Change is Strength 10 and Strength 9, which isn't good enough. Pushing his main gun to strength 11 and strength 10 is better, still not amazing, but then also that other order change later in the game can move through walls, push up, and he's quite durable with reroll saves. 3 Nurglings, because infiltrate is always necessary. I think you need a unit of Nurglings in every demon list, personally. I think not having an infiltrate in some matchups will just auto lose you the game. 10 Plague Bearers for holding the back point. They're very good. They can't be picked up and dropped down, but they can just move up the field anyway and stick here. And then there's Nurglings either start in the midfield or come down and hold it later because of sticky. Squad of 6 Flamers to go with the Exalted Flamer, probably starting on the board, moving up, then picking up and dropping down in later. Unit 3 Flamers, that's just scoring, so that will start in Deep Strike for me. Score some secondaries, either fall back and shoot or be picked up. Then 2 units of 6 Screamers. I think Screamers are a bit slept on at the moment. I hope they will be played more because I've tried them in my games. I think they're very good. The Mortal Wound output is really nice. Moving one model over a unit with a 14-inch move is great. And then getting an average of 3 mortal wounds can really just help you out in some situations. 6 with both those units can... basically 6 guaranteed mortals. I say guaranteed because you can always... on average, you will roll 6. I've really not done that with this many models. But we'll see. And then they've recently got a bit of a glow up, meaning they hit on 3s and they have anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+. And Unit 6 dudes can charge any medium monster or vehicle, and maybe with a bit of mortal woundage or maybe a bit of support fire from a Lord of Change will take it out. No questions asked. And 2 units of those moving fast, scoring points, quite durable with the 4 up in 1 save, 3 wounds. I think it's strong. I'm still experimenting though, and I will get some more lists out soon because I'm excited about this detachment having the most models. I think there's some experimenting to be done and some play styles that can be a bit unravelled with this because it looks interesting. I don't think it's as strong as some of the other ones, but we'll see. It's the most complex out of all of them for sure. That's me done. Thank you very much for listening or watching or whatever you're doing. Or even playing me in the background. I'm He's Playing Warhammer, and please let me know your thoughts. This is my second video on YouTube ever, so I'm looking forward to seeing if anyone thinks, or what people have to say about this as well. So give me your ideas about this attachment down in the comments below. I'll be looking at all of them and responding to the ones I can about whatever. I'm a Demons player, and I love the content basically that people are putting out, so I thought, hey, I should make some myself, give something back to the community. The next attachment I'm going to be reviewing is the Blood Legion, the Khorne one. A very exciting one as well. That's got some really interesting mechanics, so make sure you stay tuned to that one. Because while it's not as complex as the Tzeentch one, there's still a lot to go over. So make sure you stay tuned. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. And I hope to catch you in the next one. See you later.